Doug was one of the greatest guys I ever worked. Very appreciated. I went to work with Del Ruth at Fox's. He was the producer of 10 comedy units, and I was his assistant. And we did a lot of work over there. I was with him for quite a while. Del Ruth had been fired at Fox's, and he was doing the trick comedy writing for Fairbanks. Fairbanks needed somebody to do the trick work on the Thief of Bagdad, and they had a guy out there doing it, and he liked to wreck Fairbanks, and when they wanted somebody to do the trick work, Del Ruth recommended me, and I went out and did it. Douglas Fairbanks was always in perfect condition, always in perfect physical condition. You never saw anything like it. Outside of the office, there was a 4-foot fence with a steel pipe railing on the top of it. He'd walk out there and just step back 2 feet from that and in a leap and land with both feet on top of that 4-foot fence. He was always running. It was nothing for him to see him come out of his office there in a pair of trunks or light clothing, and him and Chuck Lewis, his trainer, he would run clear around the lot 2 or 3 times. I thought a great deal of Doug Fairbanks, a very, very great deal. He knew I had his life in my hands on the flying carpet and 40-foot rides on wires where he dives to the bottom of the ocean and riding a horse and 101 other things. Always something different, something new, and you just had to figure out a way to do it. There's no books, there's no written specifications of how strong a wire is, how much it'll hold, or under what conditions. I used to weigh all my wires with anywhere from 100 pounds of sand to 500 with a scale and a block and tackle to see where they'd actually break. I originated my own ties, a clove hitch upside down backwards that I made all my ties with. I used 2 wires instead of 1, most all of my stuff. And the Thief of Bagdad turned the cameras upside down, a magic rope deal. You get a close-up of Doug on the end of the rope, where he tipped the rope down and put his hand right over the top of it. I did a scene with a black pirate. I had 57 guys swimming underwater. Doug is in a ship, and he's after the pirates who's killed his father, and he has this ship rowed by his men, and they got one big brass cannon on the front of it, and Doug attacks this pirate ship, and they start shooting at him. So they fire one blast which cuts the main mast and sails down. And then the pirates are about to open on them when all the men drop to the bottom of the boat and an order from Doug, and they pull the sea cocks out of the bottom of the boat and let the water come in the boat and it sinks. They sink with it. When Douglas Fairbanks, when he dives to the bottom of the ocean 40 feet, I had 2 number 14 wires on them, big as a hairpin. The next scene, you see these guys all swimming under the water, like a lot of mackerel in tiers, about 3 feet between them, and all staggered back, but all in uniform, just like soldiers. The funny part of it was they were all swimming upside down. We turned the whole scene upside down. We turned the cameras upside down. They told me I had to have the set ready the next morning at such and such a time to start shooting. They had the framework and all up, and I says, you can't have it till the day after tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. And there was a big furore about it, and I says, that's it. I says, there's nothing else to it. And he says, well, haven't you trained somebody else to tie these wires? There's 57 men and 2 wires to each man, and had to be tied on both ends, and each wire had to be painted with an airbrush. I worked the whole night through, and next morning I had the whole set ready, and they brought the guys. I laced and vest into the harnesses and tied the wires, had all the wires set on them, and put all 57 of them in the air off of a movable 3-deck platform, and the wheels run on tracks, and we used an eccentric to drop the carriage that held them, this platform out from under them, and they were all in the air at the same time. They were wired to a car up above on the end of 40-foot telegraph poles. There was 20 men that pushed this car back. They had to take them out of the proscenium arch of the picture, and then they'd have to make their entrance and all come through it, go through it. There was no water. There was a piece of canvas over 15 tons of loose hay for the underneath part of the ocean. And when I finished the whole sequence, Doug Fairbanks says in front of everybody, "I think Coy deserves a hand." And the whole bunch of them applauded me, and all I could say was thank you. The boys who worked with me and helped, he turns the rudder and makes the ship run in a circle. I had 2 number 14 wires on, as big as a hairpin, and he lets all the wind out of the sails on the ship. Pulls a knife out of his belt and sticks it in the sail, and slides down the sail, cutting it as he goes, and lets all the wind out of that sail, and then the next one and the next one. He comes aboard the ship, and there's no one on watch. And he goes over to the stanchion where all the gland pins are, and he grabs a rope, and he sees that it runs through a pulley through a mast to a masthead up about 60 feet. Sees the rope's free, goes over and ties it to a cannon that's on wheels, and he cuts the lashing, and as the ship rolls back and forth, he waits. And just then a sailor comes up from down below, and he says, "Where's the watch?" As Doug chokes him, he points down below, and Doug says, "We're going up." So he goes up at about a 45-degree angle. Ordinarily, if you let a weight loose, it'll swing right in before it goes up to a mast, see? But I had the wires rigged so that he went right from that angle, say 30 feet away from the mast, at an angle right straight up to the top of that 60-foot. From there, he takes this guy he's holding around the neck and picks him up and hangs him on a clevis up there by the seat of his pants, pulls a knife out of his belt and sticks it in the sail, and slides down the sail, cutting it as he goes, and lets all the wind out of that sail. Then he brings his other helpers aboard and captures the ship single-handed, one of them deals.